being a part of like Inspired EDU, Richard always talks about, it starts with the energy you walk in the door with.
Wow.
So if you come here early in the morning, like before anybody gets here, we turn on all the TVs and they put it on some good music.
Nice.
Something that like really gets to the
And so we live. Welcome back to the Leading Well podcast series by Blemish. I'm your host, Christian Brown, founder and CEO of Blemish. And today we have a special episode with the Concierge of HR himself, Mr. Jasen Hayes. How you doing, brother?
How's everybody doing? Thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah, I'm happy to and excited to because we go way back.
Yeah.
We go way back. We've been friends for some years. So I'm excited to have you on because this new venture, Leading Well podcast series, it's a place for HR leaders to talk about what it takes to create workplaces that feel good and work better.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm excited to dive into your mindset around HR. And I want to start by kind of diving into your personal brand, the Concierge of HR. What does that mean to you? And then how did that come about?
So, they told me to come up with a political way to actually say it. I still have not. Okay. So, did you ever watch the show The Blacklist?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, in the show Blacklist, they called him the concierge of crime because he had his hands in so many things and he knew so many people and he just had like this vast network that, helped him not build just his portfolio and his business, but also help others as well. So I was like, is there a concierge at HR out there? Because like when you have, X amount of followers, you've been doing things for a certain amount of years, you really develop your network, right? And people say your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
But the question is, just because you have a phone you have a phone number of somebody like a Christian Brown, like how are you using it? How are you utilizing it? Like I know people don't like to feel used, but sometimes we get a little fused. It happens, right?
Right.
So that's kind of where that spun out from. And then I have a quote that follows right behind that to actually take it off that other spin, which is I'm a human first and a resource second.
Love that. That's dope. Amazing. And so across your career, you've worked in the public sector, you've worked in nonprofit, you've also with the Air Force Reserve. So like throughout the span of your career, how has your mindset around leadership evolved over the years? And also when it comes to workplace wellness and feeling good and working better in the workplace, how has your mindset evolved throughout those different
It's still evolving.
sectors? Yeah.
It's still evolving. I mean, I think, when you think about the root word evolution, like there's stopping.
Yeah.
There's only, you have to continue to evolve. So I'm always eager to learn because I am a 1980s baby, right?
Yeah.
I literally fall in between two genres, right? So I understand, what the old school like to say, like, oh, this is how we do it. Be at work on time, dress this way, do this.
Yeah.
And then I also understand, what the next generation say of, hey, as long as I'm comfortable and I'm dressed properly, why can't I just come to work and do my job, right? And if I stayed up all night to work on this project, why do I need to be here at 7:30 in the morning, right? Like it's more of the working smarter, not harder. Now there is a lot of times a clash, and that's where things become very disruptive. And the question is, in that clash, are you looking at ego or are you looking at evolution? Which ear are you looking at?
Yeah, ego and so talk about the difference between those two and kind of what are some examples of someone being more ego led versus evolution forward.
Yeah. So what you will find that is most leaders, they're always learners. Like that's what the L in leaders stand for. Like never stop learning, right? It's learners, right? You'll find that most of them are pretty quiet, and it's because that they're listening, they're hearing what you're saying, they're processing it, right? They don't really put in a lot of their input unless they need to put in input, right?
Yeah.
And so that's somebody who thinks with that evolutionary mindset. When it comes to ego, and it's funny, I just talked to somebody about this the other day. When it comes to ego sits right here on my chest, right? But before that, you have anxiety, you have questions, you have depression, there's so much stuff
Yeah.
right before it gets there. And once it gets there, you have to say, you know what? I'm going to open the gates and just let all of that water flow through me, right?
Yeah.
Let the wind go around me, right? And just let it pass through. That way I can get to the evolutionary stage, right? Or I'm going to let it sit right here and I'm going to tell them, no, this is what I'm going to do.
And
This is who I am. And you got to do this and you got to accept that. Now, if you have, imagine you have a leader who has their ego right here and you
yeah,
have your ego right here.
it's class.
What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
I can't learn from you. You can't learn from me. We can't develop. We can't grow. The project is at risk, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny and just going into being a little personal. My son, who's much older now, but I remember when I was in court with the lawyer and we were talking, and they would always ask this question: "What's best for the child?"
Mm.
Because there's my ego right here and her ego right here,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So when you think about it from a human standpoint, right?
Mm.
Is this what's best for me? Is it what's best for you? Or is it what's best for the project,
Yeah.
the
The team.
company,
Yeah.
whatever we're trying to work our
Yeah.
goal towards?
Yeah. I love that. And then as you were talking about that, I just visualized the actual shield, right? The shield that's made up of those things, those emotions and feelings that you named, right? But when you have that shield up, it's like you're almost blocking anything from coming in, which is not conducive for evolution, right? You're not welcoming information, welcoming new relationships, new opportunities,
Right.
and it affects your team if you're the one leading,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, being a nonprofit and being a part of like Inspired EDU, Richard always talks about, it starts with the energy you walk in the door with.
Wow.
So if you
That's
come
good.
here early in the morning, like before anybody gets here, we turn on all the TVs and they put it on some good music.
Nice.
Something that like really gets the day going.
Yeah, that's good. And as you mentioned, I just wanted to give a shout out to Inspired EDU. Since we are in their facility right now. Shout out to Inspired EDU and Richard Hicks. Which you sit on the board now, right? Of them, or you working? What's your work with Inspired EDU?
Mm-hmm. So I sit on the board. I also volunteer. So I help create a lot of the programming that goes out to those undeserved, those well-deserved families who need the digital literacy within their homes, right?
Right.
So, in order to create great programs, you have to, be able to get out once again outside that ego, get outside yourself, and say, hey, what type of learner am I? You're not the smartest person in the room until you realize you're the dumbest person in the room.
Right.
Right?
Love
Because
that.
now you're ready and you're receptive to everything around you.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for sharing that. And then back to your career. What was can you talk about a pivotal turning point in your career that influenced how you view employee well-being?
Um, that's a good question. I think it was I would say it was when I was in the military, right?
Okay.
I was just, going to work and, I would, it would be drill weekends. I'll go to work and there were other airmen who would be looked at as slacking off and not doing what they needed to do. And I just kind of stayed like to my corner and, I just like, yeah, I don't come in late. I don't do what they do. Right.
Yeah.
I separated myself. But when the moment they tried to like throw me into that crowd,
Mm.
the younger version of me,
Yeah.
I lost my cool.
Yeah.
I like holistically lost my cool.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't fair. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. But it took a captain and a major. The captain I'm still good friends with to this day. I'm pretty sure he's leveled up. But it took people pulling me to the side and saying, "We hear you, but this isn't the proper way to go about it." Right?
Yeah.
We understand where you're coming from, but this is what you need to do in order to be successful.
Wow.
And that's what allowed me to really grow, right? Shout out to all my young parents. But when you are a young parent, sometimes you are in that desperation space. So all you know is I need to get this done to feed this child. I need to do this in order to pay my rent, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in that space, you're not allowing the energy to come in and help mold you to the person you need to be to get to the next level.
Wow.
So the moment you walk in with zero expectations, the better your chances will be. It's kind of like dating, where when you're dating, they often say, don't go into the date with expectations.
Mm. Just going open
Meet them
mind.
where they're at,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do it. But the thing is, once you're in that space, you got to live in that space.
Wow.
You cannot continue to have expectations on your partner.
Right.
You just have to go in every day like it's something completely new.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting, and makes me think about how going throughout the day working with the organization, people are carrying so much, whether it be they're a young parent and having to, provide for their children, whether it be they have a parent that's sick, going
Mm-hmm.
through dating troubles. It could be it could be anything, right? People are carrying that with them, and some people can do a good job hiding it.
Yeah.
Some people can't. It shows on their face, it shows in their tone, how they perform.
Yeah.
So, as someone in HR, what would you tell an HR leader about how to balance business performance and just the overall mental health well-being of their people? And where do you see that balance?
That's a great question because a lot of people in HR care more than people think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people think if you go into a company, a lot of people think like, oh, HR is here to fire me. You know, if they got to speak to me, they're here on the company's behalf and all this other stuff. Um, for my people in HR, I will always say just continue to remember that you are a human first and a resource second, right?
Mm.
Listen to what this employee is telling you.
Yeah.
Listen to what this manager is telling you. Listen to it holistically. The important thing is you always have to take yourself out of the picture because it has nothing to do with you. But if you have a person who comes in every day late because they have to drop their kid off at school, I understand. I get it,
Right.
right? So then what's the solution,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like being a mediator where sometimes things never end and you just want it to end. I
Yeah.
mean, because you got your own stuff you got to deal with, but it's really a thankless job sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would tell them, in order to keep your mental well being, and this is what I've said to people on my team: go take a 15-minute walk,
Mm.
decompress.
Yeah.
No, I understand this is not, unfortunately, it's not personal, right?
Right.
Because if it is, you'll get to the bottom of it and you'll realize if it's personal. And you'll make the appropriate decisions on how you should move within that realm.
Mm.
But just remember you're a human first and a resource second.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And I asked you a question about employee well-being and mental health, but is that a conversation or is that a topic that's talked about within HR, within talent development, within learning and development?
Mm-hmm.
Is that topic
You mean within
talked
the
about?
HR community
Yeah,
or?
the HR community and within businesses too. Because you like I said, you worked with several different businesses, Papa John's, Ring. Shout out the old jobs. Yeah.
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
It depends on what the climate calls for. So, like for instance, when
Okay.
we came out of COVID, you noticed that a lot of companies were like, check into your EAP, load into your EAP, your employee assistance program,
Right.
right?
Right.
Go talk to somebody if you need to get the help that if you can't understand things, if you can't shake things.
Right.
I think now that we're 5 years out of COVID, I think it's starting to be like where companies are saying, we respect it, but we still need you to come to work,
Yeah.
which is kind of fair, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Eh, you don't go into a store and expect somebody to just like lay all their concerns on
Right.
you, and then you're like, I just wanted to get a shirt,
100%.
right? So there's a balance.
Mhm.
There are organizations that of HR professionals that do continue to have these wellness conversations.
Mm.
So I also sit on the board for NAAA HR, that's National African Americans in Human Resources. And so they do continue to have the conversations around, how to check in mentally, how to unplug. And I think, that was shout out to LaShawn on Unplug. I had a chance to attend her conference, which was really refreshing because it is what it says, unplug. Say what you want to say.
Wow.
Feel how you want to feel. Nobody in this room is going to judge you. So there are those conversations within certain groups.
Okay.
But sometimes you got to ask yourself, does everybody have a chance to tap into those conversations? Working with people can be very draining, and sometimes those HR professionals, they just want to get off work, go home, relax, turn on their favorite Netflix show or something, maybe watch a podcast like Blemish, and just say, oh wow, there's somebody else out there like me too.
Yeah, that's good. So within your career, can you talk about a situation where you were faced with a problem and you had to come up with some type of solution, implement the solution, and then you received a result? And the reason I ask is because with these podcast episodes, I also like to try to create a playbook to where other HR leaders can look at them and say, okay, I'm dealing with a similar problem right now. Let me see how Jasen handled this. What did he implement to get the result? So thinking back, what was one issue that you had to work throughout your career? First that comes to mind.
So I went to work for it was on a project. I was working for a company that was based out of Mumbai, but they had a U.S. presence.
Okay.
They had an HR manager that had quit. And when I started in the role, the first thing I did was take a step back because files were in the wrong place.
Oh, wow.
We had to adjust the payroll system. We had to create a scale for the employees who have been there for a while and employees that were new coming in. We had to ramp up to at least I think 200 employees. And so walking into the space, the first thing I had to do was evaluate what was going on.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had to work before I went digital. I had to work with the paper side because that still exists.
Yeah.
So I had to go through all the employee files and separate what needed to be separated. I don't know if you know, but your medical information should not be mixed with your personal information when you're starting at a company.
Oh, wow.
Never. If they have paper files on you, those two should never meet.
Why is that? Is that get the HIPAA laws or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So once that part of the project was created, then I had to go into ADP Workforce Now because the company had the software, but they were using it at an intermediate level. So I had to go in there and create, and that was a great crash course in ADP. Okay.
That's funny.
Long days, short nights.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But once again, it wasn't about me. It was about taking care of the employees.
Yeah.
And then once I created that and I got everything squared away, the most important thing is create the policies and procedures so that the house doesn't get messed up again.
Yeah, as it grows.
Right. So I had to create the policies and procedures. I always tell people if you need to create a form, you have great software out there, like Google Forms, Microsoft Forms. There's this new app called Honeybook, which is pretty cool if you're an entrepreneur and you're moving and shaking. But I always say create that because that's what's going to create your track record of success. Where you started and then how you're going to look at the end of the day.
Dope.
Right. So hopefully I answered your question, but I'm thinking I created policies and procedures. That's what I'm pretty good at.
Yeah, policy. And then what kind of impact does that have? You talked about is protection for when the company, so the house won't burn down, but talk a little bit more about what that does for an organization and for the people creating those policies.
So metrics, right? You need metrics.
Yep.
What's the biggest thing you always hear no matter what the conversation is? what's the data say?
Yeah.
Right?
What are the
So
numbers?
I thought I'd never be that guy on a podcast or a show that says talk about the data. But what's the data say?
Yeah.
Right? How many people came into the organization? How many people left? We need to know what those data, that metrics, that data is, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what creates the case for what are we gonna do next, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people will not be happy with a manager, and they'll say, "Well, I'm just gonna quit or find another job." Okay, so let's go by the rule of five, right?
Okay.
If I have 5 people that work up under me, and one leaves, would you take a look at me? Would you say, "Oh, he's a bad manager"? Would you question anything?
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
If you have 2 people, right?
Yeah. Then you start to raise the eyebrow, Nick.
You might raise the eyebrow. Might.
Right.
Might. Then you have 3 people.
Mm.
But yet, now look at how the team is diminished. Look at what the impact of the workflow.
Interesting. Yeah.
As much as some people will treat you like you're replaceable at the drop of a dime, you have to remember you're not. So when you create, as we have in like employee relations, right? There's a procedure. It's annoying, but and people need to say, I'm going to record what was said this day. Not necessarily record it, but you can type it out, write it
Yeah.
down, keep a journal, keep a notebook.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to make sure I document this and pass by conversations. Hey, I need you to do this. And then Christian goes and does this, and then Christian does it wrong. And the manager's like, oh, I never told you to do that. Right.
Yeah.
Email traction, follow up. Hey, great seeing you in the hall today. From my understanding, you wanted me to do blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
Keep your receipts.
Receipts, love that.
Receipts are important,
Yeah.
and that's what builds the data. So now, if employee one goes to HR or the supervisor, whatever the chain of command is, they say, "Hey, I'm having this problem out of Jasen," right? And then the next one goes and says, "Hey, I'm having this problem out of Jasen." You don't even need to lose another person because something tells me that what these two are saying is going to align.
There's some data there, yeah.
Right. So you have to go look at something. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the manager is a bad manager. But once again, learning never stops. And what most people don't understand is, and I can pretty much tell when I'm working with a new manager, you have to have education. They have to now go into, hey, I'm not playing in traffic anymore. I'm not sitting in traffic. I'm directing traffic. Right. So that's a whole different mindset when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
And that's what those managers have to be trained and groomed for success. And then if you as the employee are willing to, as I say, put the swords down, then now you can work with this manager. And people, they need at least 21 days to break or form a habit.
Right.
So you got to give grace.
Yeah. That's good. And so now with the state of just where we are in the world with technology playing such a huge role, the implementation of AI in almost every industry, how do you see the field of HR and just employee experience being impacted by these new technologies?
You can use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Or it can be a weapon.
Right.
I hope it's a tool. I hope it's a great tool.
Yeah.
The thing about AI, which we all know, is it is emotionless. There is
Yeah.
no way you can put emotion into it.
Right.
As a weapon, it can be used. I mean, people have already tried to weaponize AI, right? In the role of HR, like there are some jobs that can be very automated. So the question is, do you need a human presence there?
Yeah.
And so when I think about stuff like that, I think about when you go into a Walmart or a Target, right? It used to be maybe 10 to 20 registers with each person at the register.
Right.
Now you go to Walmart, it's 10 registers with one person standing in the middle going, right?
Right.
So then you got to think, what's my next move? Now they also say that there are jobs that are going to be saved. Like AI will never replace this, and I'm like, give it enough time, right?
Right.
So me being a sci-fi nerd,
Yeah.
I've been watching this stuff kind of come into fruition like forever,
Wow.
right? Star Trek, where you could walk up and just tell it what you want. You walk up and you tell the machine, computer creme brulee, right? It'll make you a dish. And then you got like Will Smith and iRobot.
Yeah.
There was a great point proven in there.
For
Like,
sure.
hey, you can't make pies like my grandma. It's grandma sweet potato pies, right?
Right.
I miss my grandma's sweet potato pie stuff. And then you have just newer stuff that's coming out now where it shows like Westworld. I think Westworld is a great representation. What a remake of Westworld. Let me be correct on that. It's a great representation of that struggle and that battle that we have.
Technology.
Yeah, with technology. So I would always implore people, use it as a tool, not a weapon. And learn from it as much as you can because it's learning from you, and it's been doing that for quite some time.
Yeah.
So people who think wearing masks and all that stuff, if they really think that they're dodging it,
Yeah.
AI has been running since the 90s.
Yeah, even before that, people have been trying to figure out how to make machines think like humans or talk like humans, right? It goes way back. But now it's just for everyone, at everyone's disposal. Just like you said, it could be a tool or it can be a weapon. But for you personally, if you could just redesign the employee experience from scratch, what are 3 priorities that you would lead with when creating the ideal experience for an employee?
First one is equality.
Okay.
First one is equality. I think that's very important. Second one,
Say more about that equality before we go to the second one.
so equality. I don't care about your skin color. I don't
okay.
care about your gender. I don't care about none of that. I just need you to
Do the job.
do the job, right? I think that's very important. One of the things that we learned in the military in basic training, because now you're taking a whole bunch of people and mixing them together real quick and expect them to get along.
Right.
And one of the instructors said, "Hey, listen, when you're on the battlefield and those guys over there are shooting over here, they don't know if you're
Yeah.
white, black,
Yeah.
tall, short, male, female. They don't care. They just want to clear you off the board."
Wow.
So, and that's why you generally see people who have a military background. We click very easily. Very, it doesn't take long.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because we all know that, the opposing force does not care. They just want to take us off the board.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. That makes sense.
So one of them's equality. The second thing is, to improve it, I will probably focus on onboarding.
Okay.
I've seen onboarding be a huge concern at a lot of places. Small mom and pops all the way up to your big Fortune 5s.
Really?
Because you literally have to handhold somebody for the first 60 to 90 days.
Wow.
Right? It used to be they had a 90-day grace period.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. Like if some middle managers didn't like you, they basically let you sit there.
Oh man, for the rest of the time.
Not help you. And it's like, 90 days is up.
Out of there.
Bye.
That's crazy.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and that's where, I feel like, that comes down to like the impact of pay, which is my third point.
Okay.
Impact of pay to me is, hey, once again, if I have a team of 5, I lost 3 people in a quarter, there needs to be an evaluation why. That type of metrics has to be used against me. Because let's be honest, maybe I shouldn't be in leadership. There are individual contributor roles, but those are literally harder because you don't have the autonomy to tell somebody what to do. You have to ask them in a very nice way. You have to really build relationships. So if you don't know how to build relationships and you don't know how to work with people and partner with people,
Yeah.
you can't be an individual contributor,
Wow.
right? And then you also have to worry or not worry about, but think about um your although you are at the top of the chain and you have that team of five, you still need to build your team of five individually.
Mm.
Some of them may be more introverted than others.
Right.
Does that mean that the introverts don't deserve raises, that they don't
Right.
deserve special shout outs and attention? You know,
Yeah.
um, like when sitting on a board, I say, hey, we need to celebrate our board members.
Mm.
This is volunteer work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's still a lot of work,
All right.
right?
All right.
So even on their birthday, we need to throw a birthday shout out, you know?
Something. Yeah.
Right. Something that says, hey, we appreciate you being here. It
That's
wouldn't be the
good.
same without you,
Yeah. That's good.
you know?
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And so for you, what's one practice that you use to maintain your mental well-being in high pressure roles or environments?
Um, I say I learned to listen more
Okay.
and project back like, is this what you're asking me? Is this what you're telling? Like, be very clear,
Yeah.
but be very clear nicely, right?
Interesting.
Like, I try to, and I continuously study like, what's my tone of voice? What's my body posture? Like, what am I saying to you?
Yeah.
Right? What are you receiving from me? Right? Hey, what do you need? You
Mm.
know? Um, I tell you, growing up with a uncle who was very monotone, it was very hard to catch those like when he was
Mm.
joking,
Yeah.
right? It was,
Yeah.
but now after X amount of, I know when he's joking, I can get it,
Mm. Yeah.
So it's paying attention, but not paying attention to the point of I'm trying to judge you. Am I better than you? Or you better than me? Like you have to remove that negative.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Wow. You know what, Christian, I really want that blemish shirt. Where'd you get that from? Like that's a great
Blemish.com.
logo. What
Yeah.
made you come up with that? Like really get into the psyche of like how can I become a better version of me so that I can be a better version for you, so that you can be a better version for you and be a better version for me.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. It makes me think about psychological safety. And the lack of psychological safety is one of the factors of burnout.
Mm-hmm.
People not feeling safe in an environment to share, to come openly, so they just bottle everything up, and then they end up not being able to work, and eventually they leave.
Yeah.
And so what you spoke to, it makes me think about how it's important to just show up and communicate, and not also just speak, but listen.
Listen. Yeah.
Listen to, right, and make sure that clarity is there, that you're really seeing the person in front of you, listening to them, and being able to respond, in a kind
Mm-hmm.
manner.
Yeah. Putting the phone down. I listened to, I think it was Simon Sinek the other day.
Okay.
He said something great about 8 minutes. He had a friend that was really going through something, and the friend reached out, and it was kind of like text messaging, right?
Okay.
And I mean, me, you text me a certain amount of times, I'm picking up the phone like, what's up?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, just talk to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he said that I don't want to misquote it, but that person was going through something, and I think in the quote or the person basically said, "Hey, do you have a minute or whatever?" And so the person, when he finally did speak to that person or whatever, they said, "Listen, I was going through this, and I really just needed 8 minutes.
Wow.
8 minutes. Eight. You can pour out a lot in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we've been talking because there's no counter, but
More than 8 minutes.
more than 8 minutes. But in eight
Yeah.
minutes, I mean, I think we cleared a lot of runway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if somebody's going through something, I mean, I think we all have just, and if you can't get to them now, right,
Mhm.
just let them know I'm going to give you a call at this time between this time because I know I've heard of people and I know a couple of people who have taken their own lives. I
Mm.
know people who thought about taking their own lives. And it's not just about taking your life or losing a life, but it's also like keeping them from taking somebody else's life or blowing up. You know what I mean? And just being truly upset about whatever's frustrating in their day.
All right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time I was volunteering with Inspired EDU, and it was a young African American male, and I was introduced to him by somebody else, and like right there on the spot, he was just like, man, I got let go from my job. I got a baby, like, and I know it's because I'm an African American male, and da 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 da. He was like, how did you get over it? I said,
Oh wow.
man, I still deal with it. He talking about I lost my job 2 weeks ago. He was like, are you
Yes.
serious? Like, how's this not bothering you?
Mm.
And I
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
real.
well, let's talk about it.
All right.
Let's talk about it. Let's
Great
let's
answer.
create a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's build.
Yeah.
So 8 minutes.
Amen. And I love that because it highlights just the value of time and how a lot of change can be made in a little amount of time
Yeah.
if you're intentional about it. Like there's a stat that says just a 20-second hug fires off neurons in your brain that can reduce anxiety, that can make you feel comfortable. And so sometimes now that I'm back in Atlanta, sometimes I'll just like hug my mom or my dad. I'm like 20 seconds, right? Just give me 20 seconds. But also makes you think about different programs. And like through Blemish, we do these wellness workshops and they're 45 to 60 minutes long, but we're like, hey, if you can just give us your full attention for this amount of time,
Right.
we believe that we can, make some impact where you go back to your desk and you feel lighter.
Yeah.
You feel more clear. You feel just better overall to be able to perform.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to just give it the time.
You got to give it the time. You got to take your breaks.
Yeah.
I've had people who start jobs and, they're like, I tell them, hey, if you run across something, just call me.
Mm-hmm.
I might not be able to answer right then and there, but trust me, if it's something that you're running up against, I'll get you in. If I don't have the answer, and that's part of being a concierge,
Yeah,
HR,
you'll find somebody.
I'll find somebody that do, right?
Yeah, so good.
Which is the same thing that, this isn't, Jasen Hayes created this. This is something that's been going on forever. Mentorship programs that help build individuals. That's why I like Inspired EDU and what they do. 100 Black Men, and then I like just even learning the evolution of 100 Black Men, how we went to emerging 100, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
They said we're gonna go a little bit, younger, and we're gonna start here, and then they got the collegiate 100.
Okay, wow.
Right? So now they're dealing with the collegiate 100 is specified groups within college, right?
That's awesome, yeah.
And then they go all the way back down to Best Academy.
Wow,
so mentorship, I don't care what you do, whether your own entrepreneurship company, whether you have you work for a Fortune 5, whether you are part of volunteering somewhere, or you sit on a board, go mentor.
Yeah.
Go mentor like crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. Makes you think about how Earl Nightingale says your rewards in life are in direct proportion with your service. So if you want more rewards, serve more.
Serve more.
Right?
So, in fact, you brought up something great. That's what I tell people when they're unemployed.
Serve.
I say go serve.
Go serve. Amazing.
They're like, how am I going to get my check? I don't know. Go serve, and then we'll work on the check thing while we're at it.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome, man. Well, this is great. Well, as we end up here, I'm gonna ask you one final question, and that is, if you could leave workplace leaders with one challenge to improve their culture starting tomorrow, what would you challenge them to do or implement?
Get rid of the expectations. Every day is a new day. Yesterday is yesterday. Tomorrow's tomorrow. Today is today. Get rid of the expectations.
Yeah, love that. So good. Well, thank you, my brother, for your time.
Hey, man.
And so, Concierge of HR on LinkedIn.
20 seconds. Oh, man. Good to see you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Yes, sir. Oh, my God. There it is. Leading Well podcast series by Blemish. And if you're around somebody, just go ahead, go give them a hug.
Go give them a hug.
To a 20-second hug.
It don't hurt.
It won't hurt at all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Peace.